Hi, what's up, y'all? It's Poppin'. It's D. About to react to this vid by Hip Hop Daily. It's titled Why YNW Melly Could Walk Away Free. I know you lying. Y'all about to let this psychopath free? What? I thought this was like a open and shut case. Guess not. Let's see what's going on. Let's watch.
YNW Melly's murder case has been in the headlines for years. He just finished a crazy trial where the prosecution hit him with all kinds of evidence, but the jury still couldn't decide. At first it looked like he was going to get sent away for life, but today we're breaking down how he could actually beat everything and walk free. 5 years ago, in October 2018, YNW Melly and his homie Sack Chaser, Juvie in Portland, was all at a recording studio in Florida. The plan was for him to meet some homies at Melly's crib, but Sack Chaser and Juvie never made it. At around 5 in the morning, Portland rode into a hospital with Sack and Juvie's dead bodies in the whip. He told everyone that they had been caught up in a drive-by, but it ain't take long for the cops to figure out that's not how it went down. And a few months later, Melly and Portland were both booked for first-degree murder. According to the police, this is how it all went down that night. After they all left the studio, Portland drove Melly and her homies around, and at one point, Melly pulled out a strap and shot both of them at close range from inside the whip. Then Melly and Portland took the whip to a spot in the middle of nowhere and shot it up from the outside to make it look like someone rolled up on him. Melly allegedly hit up Fredo Bang to come pick him up after it all went down, but Fredo wouldn't work with the prosecutors on the case. It's not clear how Melly got back home that night, but he wasn't in the whip when Portland brought Sack Chaser and Juvie's bodies to the hospital. It took years for the trial to kick off, but the entire situation was wild before Melly even got into the courtroom. Melly was never granted bond and has been sitting in jail ever since he was booked. Back in 2020, he even lost his recreation and visiting rights and was sent to solitary confinement. And then it got even worse for him. Melly has permanent grills installed on his teeth. You go on dental issues even if you're taking really good care of them. But Melly hasn't been able to clean them properly since he's been locked up. His lawyer tried to get him out of jail so he can get treatment in 2020. Because according to him, Melly had an abscess in his lower jaw that is creating extreme pain and chronic infection. The judge ain't let him out though, because a few months before that, Melly allegedly tried to get help from his lawyer to escape prison. He was accused of working with another inmate to get some handcuff keys snuck into jail, but then someone tipped off the COs and the plan was ruined. Last year, the case took a shocking turn when part of a detective's deposition was leaked online. Danny Polo is a gang expert who we'll talk more about in a second. But before the trial started, he dropped a bomb and accused Melly of trying to get his own mom taken out. The police was trying to figure out if the murders were gang related or not. And Melly's lawyer asked Polo if Melly had authorized any communication for the commission of a crime. And Polo told him, yes, if you read his phone, there's narcotics trafficking and firearms violations authorizing the killing of his mother. Those are things that you would consider authorizing.
Oh my God.
Melly and his mom both called cap on it when the deposition leaked, but it turns out there might be some truth to it. A lot of the evidence against Melly was tied to his phone, and he allegedly sent a Snapchat message to his girlfriend Mariah 2 weeks after the murders and said, "This nigga saved my life. He coming everywhere with me, cause if them crackers come grab him, it's my fault. You forgot? And I keep Portland with me, cause at the end of the day, he did one of the realest shit in my life." Every new piece of evidence that leaks made the case look harder for Melly to beat. And by the time the trial finally started back in June, a lot of people were already assuming he was done for. During the trial, the prosecution brought in experts to prove that Melly was in the car when Sack and Juvie were murdered. By using a map of cell phone towers in the area, they showed Melly's phone traveling with them at the exact same time and the locations they were at. Melly's defense claimed that the prosecution couldn't even prove it was his phone though. According to them, a lot of people in the crew used that phone, and just because it was in the whip when the shooting went down doesn't mean Melly was there too. That's when the prosecution clapped back and brought in text messages from Melly's phone. Around the same time the murders went down, Melly was texting his mom, Jamie King. Melly told his mom to bring his girlfriend Mariah, then asked her to buy him a Glock ASAP. His mom asked him what was wrong and said she had his 45, and Melly told her, "I just don't want no illegal gun." Apparently the 45 wasn't actually illegal, but Melly said he'd rather have a Glock 40 or 19, and Jamie agreed to go buy one. The situation between Melly and his mom was pretty strange though. According to rumors, she was trying to break up the YNW collective so that Melly could be on his own and not have to worry about putting his whole team on. It's not clear exactly what was going on behind the scenes, but Sack Chaser and Melly obviously had some static over the situation. Text from Melly's phone showed that Sack Chaser told him that he's not in charge just because he's the face of the YNW movement. It seems like Sack Chaser wanted to run things on the business side while Melly was bringing in money with the music. Then in another text, Sack Chaser was talking about Melly's mom getting involved with the situation and said, "Ain't say I was beefing with you, but before I let something happen to me or play with my family, everybody will die." Then Melly told him that he don't even consider Jamie to be his mom anymore and that he understands how Sack Chaser feels. That's when the bombshell Detective Polo dropped before the trial started about Melly wanting to take his mother out finally came out in front of the jury. While Melly and Sack Chaser was talking about Jamie, Melly told him, "She the devil for real, shit. I don't got shit to do with it no more. If y'all kill her, fuck it, bruh. She ain't my mama. She sold her soul." Some people thought Melly really didn't care if his homies killed his mom, but he might have just been trying to calm Sack Chaser down and make him think he was on his side. Melly's mom ain't the only one involved with the trial, though. And Sack Chaser's mother thinks she knows why her son was murdered. In her deposition, Jana Thompson claimed that her son, Sack Chaser, was supposed to be getting a $200,000 payment right before he died. According to her, he knew that something was going wrong and caused her to say that something was going to happen.
This is wild.
He was going to get the money.
This is a movie.
Melly, Portland, Sack Chaser, and Juvie had all been homies since they was kids. One thing the defense kept bringing up is that Melly had no reason to kill them and that the prosecution never provided a motive either. But if there's money involved, that changes everything. And people have been killed by their homies for way less than $200K. One of the biggest pieces of evidence against Melly was when the prosecution brought in a crime scene expert to look at the whip where Sack Chaser and Juvie died. According to the expert, the bullets that killed Sack Chaser and Juvie could have only been fired from the backseat of the whip. None of the angles made sense for a drive-by. Whoever killed him was sitting in the back seat behind the driver, and Juvie's mom helped identify that's exactly where Melly was sitting when they all left the studio. The crime scene expert also proved that the gun was between 3 inches and 3 feet away from Sack Chaser and Juvie when they were shot. Plus, the bullets that hit the outside of the whip didn't look like a drive-by at all. When a shooter rolls through and starts letting off shots, the bullets hit all kinds of different angles because they're in a moving vehicle. But all the bullet holes in Melly's whip were fired at a 90-degree angle, which proved whoever did it was just standing in one spot letting off shots. When Portland first talked to the cops, he told them he went straight to the studio, got shot at, then drove to the hospital immediately. But during the trial, the prosecution brought up the surveillance footage from the studio and proved that there were 2 satchels that somehow went missing. Some people think Melly and Portland's guns were in the satchels, and that's why they got rid of them before Portland brought Sack Chaser and Juvie to the hospital. But the police was never able to track him down or find the murder weapon. A lot of evidence against Melly was also tied to how he acted after everything went down. Less than 12 hours after his 2 childhood friends was murdered, Melly and Portland were caught on camera dancing around and having fun at a music video shoot. And at 4 p.m. that day, Melly texted his homie, "I did that." Then, shh. Melly also had a documentary about himself on his YouTube channel. And at the end of the movie, it said, 4 days after the completion of this film, YNW Melly and his friends were the targets of a drive-by shooting in Miami, Florida, which was weird since he told the cops he wasn't even in the whip when the drive-by allegedly happened. There was a lot of evidence against Melly, and a lot of people thought he was done for, but there's a reason why it ended in a mistrial, and he could end up walking away free. A DNA analyst testified that Melly's DNA was found on the rear passenger door handle of the whip, but when they first tested the DNA after the shooting went down, it wasn't a match. Melly's lawyer pressed a dude about the evidence because it turns out that they only got a match for Melly's DNA 2 years later when they checked the whip again. The defense made it seem like the cops didn't do their jobs right from the jump, but they wasn't the only ones who could actually help Melly's case. During the trial, the judge got pressed with the prosecution because they didn't print out some documents they were supposed to share with Melly's legal team. That wasn't the only sketchy move they pulled. They committed a discovery violation by having some new tests ran on evidence and not telling the defense what they was doing. So the judge wouldn't let them use that evidence in the trial. There was even more drama when the state brought in Detective Polo to testify about Melly's gang ties, and he walked into the room wearing a face mask like he was about to rob a bank. Polo's mask was so shocking that it gave one of the jurors flashbacks to the time she got robbed, and the judge had to step in and sort the situation out. According to Polo, he has a $50K bag on his head, so he needed to wear the mask for his own safety. But according to reports, he was sitting outside the courtroom for an hour without even wearing it. Polo is a gang expert and testifies that Melly's affiliated with the G-Shine Bloods. A lot of rappers act like they're gang affiliated just for the clout, but Polo said the G-Shines ain't the kind of sex you can fake rep. According to him, they're one of the most violent blood sets and are known for checking anyone who fake reps. So it wouldn't make any sense for Melly to act like he was affiliated if he really wasn't. Even if Melly's a member of the G-Shines though, that don't automatically make the murder of Sack Chaser and Juvie gang-related crimes. And the prosecution wasn't able to find any evidence that their deaths had anything to do with the set. Another reason why the whole thing ended in a mistrial could be since the people working against Melly was just acting sketchy the whole time. The mother of Melly's girlfriend, Mariah, was brought in to testify about some statements she gave back in 2018. And she told the court she felt threatened by the prosecution. Even the lead detective in the case admitted to threatening witnesses. Detective Mark Moretti was grilled by Melly's lawyer and admitted that he threatened Melly's manager, a 100K Track, telling him he can get deported to Haiti. Moretti told Track that the jails in Haiti were a disease-ridden shithole, where he wouldn't even get food. Now Moretti's allegedly under investigation for an incident involving excessive force used by him against a potential witness in this case. This is what's really crazy about the whole thing. Even if Moretti found evidence that 100% proves Melly's the one who killed Sack Chaser and Juvie, it would still be thrown on the court if it turns out that he got the info illegally. After both sides made their closing arguments, the jury discussed the evidence for 3 days and still couldn't make a decision. According to one juror, they were at 11-1 for convicting Melly of 2 charges of manslaughter, but the last woman in the room was explosive and manipulative. They claim that she convinced 2 others to go to her side, which made the vote 9-3 to convict.
Oh my gosh,
she started screaming at a dude who tried to question her about it. Eventually, the judge realized they weren't going to agree on anything, so the only option he had was to call it a mistrial and start over from the beginning. And this time, it could end up being a way tougher case for the prosecution. More details just broke about Detective Moretti's excessive use of force, and it turns out that the complaint is related to Melly's mom, Jamie. Here's how it all allegedly went down. Moretti was interviewing Jamie in a conference room at the courthouse. A prosecutor named Michelle Boutrous, Jamie's lawyer Robert Trackman, and a sergeant from the sheriff's office named Jason Hendrick were all in the room with them. During the interview, Sergeant Hendrick stepped out for some reason, and that's when Moretti executed a search warrant for Jamie's phone. Then a deputy named Adam Carell showed up, and Moretti told him that he should say he was in the room when Moretti executed the warrant. Later, Moretti asked Carell if he was there when he took Jamie's phone, and Carell told him, "I can be if you needed me to be." Now Moretti's claiming that Carell and him are just joking around, but it could have a major impact on the new trial. The state knew about what Moretti did all the way back in October 2022 before the trial even started, but they hid it from the defense. Melly's legal team could have used it in the first trial to prove Moretti wasn't a trustworthy witness, but instead, they went through the whole trial without knowing anything about it. Melly's lawyer tried to get the entire case thrown out because of how sketchy stuff has been going on behind the scenes, but the judge denied it and set a new trial date for October. There's a good chance that doesn't happen though. Melly's first trial kept on getting pushed back, and now there's even more drama going on with the courts. Right now, there's no telling what'll happen with Melly's case. When everything started, it sounded like the state had a pretty easy case to prove he was guilty, but the whole trial turned messy fast, and now the lead detective is under investigation. It's clear that the state still thinks Melly's guilty though. The judge just denied a bond again and said, "This court finds that the state has met its burden of demonstrating that the proof of guilt is evident and that the presumption of guilt is great. The juror's inability to reach a unanimous verdict does not alter the nation or weight of the evidence of the defendant's guilt." YNW Juvie's mom, Leandra, also asked him not to let Melly out. During a meeting with the judge, she said that even though he's innocent until proven guilty, she's still worried that something could happen to her and her family if they let Melly out. So for now, Melly's gonna be sitting in jail again until the new trial starts. His friends and family should definitely be feeling better about this one though. The judge might already believe he's guilty, but that'll mean the prosecution can convince a jury to convict him. They already messed up their best shot, and now the entire team is under suspicion because of what went down in the first trial. There is one bad piece of news for Melly though. Right now he's facing the death penalty if he gets convicted, and here's how it works. First, he has to be unanimously convicted by the jury and found guilty. Then there's a second phase where they decide to give him the death penalty or not. Usually, the death penalty also requires all 12 jurors to vote yes, but that just changed in Florida. Now they only need an 8-4 majority to kill somebody after a new law signed by the governor. So if Melly does go down for
That's wild.
or Juvie,
To
now
kill
there's
somebody?
a way higher chance he'll also face the death penalty.
This is a goddamn movie. What in the fuck? First off, I'm very surprised by that. The fact that only 8 of them need to vote for you to get killed? 8? 12 is like, okay, maybe not. Maybe 11, 10. But 8? It's crazy because they have fucked up this case by doing sketchy shit. And this reminds me of the whole OJ trial. I remember watching a documentary on that. And that man was guilty. He was guilty as fuck, but because they were so shady, like the detectives and shit, they were doing illegal stuff to get evidence because they wanted to take him down so bad that they ended up fucking the case up, and that's why he got off, because a lot of stuff got dismissed and a lot of stuff couldn't be used against him. And then they were like planting shit, the whole infamous glove situation, they like planted a glove there. They were just doing too much even though he was already guilty. So they should have just let shit play out how it would have played out. But no, they fucked it up. So that was just what's going on with this situation reminded me of that. But yeah, this is wild. That'll be crazy if he gets off. We'll see what happens though. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Let me know what other videos you want to watch, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.